845, Varsity, man up. It's game time. Everybody stand.
Justin Rodriguez here with Kevin Gleason with another edition of the Varsity 845 Football Podcast. Thanks for tuning in again. We've got another great show for you. We're going to talk about last week's games, and there were some good ones. And we have a special guest star. He's going to be tuning in. Two-way lineman from Burke Catholic, Brandon Rollins, who, of course, has a big game against Marlboro this week. And then we'll look ahead at some of those games, including the Burke-Marlboro showdown. So let's start with last week, Kevin. The game of the week was, fortunately, not a dud. It was a pretty good game, considering Monroe 17 at halftime, Middletown 0, and that's where it remained. So two things I took from that game. Great effort by Middletown. I know they weren't settling to just be there to lose. And, Monroe, I think, would agree on offense. They're going to need to step up their game a little. Obviously, their defense was perfect.
Yeah, I mean, Monroe, they're missing a couple guys, so they weren't at full strength. But, the fact that they still pitched a shutout and, shut down like one of the hottest, probably the hottest back in the section. So it's really hard to be critical of Monroe, too, at all. It's just a really good game all the way around for Middletown. I thought just keeping it at 17-0, to be quite honest with you. I wasn't sure if they were going to be able to keep the score that low, knowing Monroe's propensity for being able to put points on the board. But great effort by Monroe Woodbury, I thought, and Middletown shows that, it might not be that far off in its quest to get to that next level. Next
week they'll play at Newburgh. Winner goes to the Class AA playoffs. I'll reserve my prediction for right now, but you went back to the hottest back in Section 9. You're referring to phenom Jordan Bryan, who came into that game with 508 yards and I think 7 touchdowns in 2 games. Monroe held him to under 100 yards. You did say hottest back. Kevin, I've got one thing to say to that. That would be Aaron Forbes and Anthony DeBose of Newburgh.
I said probably the hottest back, but it is hard to argue a guy who has over 500 yards in 2 games not to be the hottest back in the
3.
section.
It's actually 3.
Well, going into that game, he had 500 and I think.
Brian.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, 509 yards, I believe, in 2 games, something like that. And that's pretty hot. You're averaging over 250 a game.
He's a great back, but I'm just saying once again.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's talk about Newburgh, the Pine Bush job. Newburgh 72, Pine Bush 14.
Poor Pine
Forbes
Bush
with 4 touchdowns plus 1 receiving. DeBose with 4 touchdowns. It was 58-0 at halftime.
Boy, it didn't take you long to throw on those Newburgh pom-poms, huh? Unbelievable. Putting up 70 a game now, this team. Obviously this is an explosive team. Let's be honest, we're all waiting for them Monroe Woodbury. That's what we're waiting for.
Well, since I was going to reserve my prediction, I'll say it now. Newburgh will beat Middletown in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and they have winless Kingston this week, so who knows what will happen.
Jeez. Poor Kingston.
Yeah, they're playing very well. I actually have been posing it to. I just blogged it. Check out the Varsity 845 blog. Follow me on Twitter, Justin Rod 845. Tell your friends. Tell your parents.
Don't tell your parents, no.
So I posed the question to a few coaches. Do you think Forbes and DeBose are the best 1-2 combo ever out of the backfield? And I haven't had anyone say no. We talked about a Carl Peterson and Eric Blanton at Rollins.
Yeah.
How about Richie Cameron, Dan Wyman, Pine Bush going back sometime?
Yeah, let's go
Those are some of the names thrown around. And, they said they probably are the best. Obviously, Newburgh's had some good backs. Many teams have had a lot of incredible backs. It's just that combination.
Sure.
And I'll be doing a feature on them next week. I actually was at Newburgh practice today, getting to talk to those guys.
Question is, you tell me. How much camaraderie is there over there in terms of these guys both being unselfish enough to not have any issues with who gets how many carries, that kind of thing.
They tell me there are no issues, and I believe them.
Mm-hmm.
They had Notori Dennis there. They had to ship him off the team, and you know what? That was a crowd, maybe too crowded.
Mm-hmm.
He might have been the problem, from what I understand.
Well, that can be a problem at Newburgh in terms of having so much talent at one position.
Well, let's be honest. DeBose was the guy last year, and Forbes came out and became kind of the guy. He was a first-teamer, varsity 845, coveted position there. We all know that. DeBose was second team. You know, that might have gotten to me, but they seem to be doing well. And like I said, I talked to him today. I enjoyed it, and you know, like I said, they're catching fire. DeBoe's a man on a mission after the having to sit out Monroe. You know, he's gone off, and he's a man on a mission.
I still sense that, but before it all is said and done, that quarterback's going to be the key with that team.
Well, they actually used another quarterback last week, Skivington, Kevin.
Right. So there we have it.
So I don't know what the situation there. They might do a little mixing and matching.
What's the situation with Washington? Was he just demoted, or?
I think they just wanted another look. And Skivington, they definitely saw some potential in him. He's a little younger. So if you're trying to say we're having a quarterback controversy, Kev, all right, don't.
Well, I'm just saying the quarterback's going to be the key position over there, on what goes down with it, and how well either Washington or Skivington play. I imagine you'll see more of
Skivington this week. Okay, on to the next game. Warwick comes back at the beginning of the year. VC were the cardiac kids. Now it's Warwick coming back to beat Washingtonville. They came back to beat Roosevelt. Warwick 6-0, 2-0 in the division. It was our old friend Dermot Egan catching a pass from Brendan Bauer in the closing seconds to win it.
Yeah, for sure. Bauer, showing a lot of gut there, and he obviously has a lot of big plays in him because this kid's had a great year. He's been all over the stat sheet all season.
Well, yeah, he really has.
And Egan is big target. Doesn't make any mistakes, and plus, of course, a podcast favorite, which means something to us around here. So.
And then you had really the heartbreaker of the week, the cardiac kids. They had some of their own magic turned against them.
They sure did.
Up in Dutchess County, VC up 14-0 at halftime. Lose 22-14 to Roosevelt. VC now 0-2.
What happened to the Vikings?
0-2 in the division. They're going to be playing Washingtonville. 0-3 in the division. Here's the deal. That's a damn tough 0-3 team. Darn tough is what I should say. Sorry about that. So that's a tough 0-3 team.
Yes, it is. Very tough. I mean, they clearly could be 3-0, and that's going to be a great game. It really has the makings for a great game.
So also, I wanted to mention about that game. Last year, I had the pleasure of meeting someone from Valley Central named Tyler Muse. He's a member of their team. Ron Intruini, the coach, took him on the team 2 years ago. Tyler has Down syndrome. He doesn't play the game, but he's an incredible inspiration. It was inspirational for me to meet him. Not only that, to see how much the kids on the team cared and loved for him. Coach Intruini this week, everyone watch for it, has arranged for Tyler Muse to come out and thank you, Don Clark on Washingtonville. They've come together. From the 15-yard line, they're going to give Tyler the ball. He's going to score a touchdown before the game. Hey, call it corny, but this kid every day says to Coach Intruini. Sure. And Coach Intruini brought him in. So Friday, 7 o'clock, Tyler Muse's time. I am writing about it this week.
Sure.
By the time the pod,
that's a great story.
So keep in mind when we look at that game.
Fantastic.
Last week, you had Marlboro. I don't know if they were looking ahead. I know they were a little banged up. Down 21-7 to a Red Hook team who had been blown out by Burke. They're down 21-7.
Yeah.
They come back to win 35-21. Played perhaps their best half of football in the second half, which Coach Rich Ward was happy about.
Yeah, it's a little hard to figure that one. Really, on paper I thought Marlboro would win that in a rout, and so that surprised me. And we know what Burke Catholic did to Red Hook, and you kind of comparing those two teams, and Marlboro struggled a little bit, which might lead some to think that Burke is going to be favored in that Marlboro game.
I think it comes down to this. Marlboro, battle-tested. They lost 27 to Cornwall. They were up 7-6. They lost to Wallkill by 10 the first week of the season.
Right.
I have the stat. Burke has played teams combined record 9-27.
Mm-hmm.
Marlboro is 20-16.
With all the winning tradition and all the sectional title tradition.
That said, though, Cornwall and Wallkill are combined 11-1. So without them, they're 9-15.
No doubt.
And you know what? We're going to talk about that game a little more. So we're going to put that off. But one other game I want to mention was Chester blew out Livingston Manor 53-7. They clinched the Class D regular season title. I'm telling you right now, Kev, Thanksgiving, you're not going to be eating your Thanksgiving dinner at the diner like every other year. You're going to be up in Syracuse with me.
Thanks for ruining what Thanksgiving.
You're not going to be at the Americana Diner this year for Thanksgiving again, Kev. Because here's the deal. Vinny Alloy, 21 touchdowns, 1 pick this year. Okay? He is touchdown Vinny. Liberty, who I like, scrappy team, 5-1. They beat Tuckahoe 14-13
yes.
this week. Mm-hmm. That's probably going to be Chester's opponent in the first round of the state playoffs.
And you're saying because Liberty knocked them off, Chester's going to?
Chester's going to blow their doors off.
Is that your point? Chester, go ahead.
Then you're going to have a Mariah team. They're going to have to play like that Mariah type that they blew out.
Which is ranked high in the state for whatever silly reason.
They
right?
could be tough.
Yeah, but come on.
And then Chester's going to do. Vinny might just for good measure throw another 7 touchdowns against Mariah just because he can.
I've been meaning to ask you that. Why is Mariah ranked high in the state after getting their drawers blown off by Chester last year? No,
this isn't last year, Kev.
Why is the Section 7 team, small school Section 7 team, ranked high in the state? That's a horrible section for football. Let's be honest.
Well, you know what? Since I didn't put any input into the rankings, so Chester, maybe it's the 2 losses. They lost to Hackley, then they lose a barn burner to Burke.
You're penalized for playing a good schedule. I got you.
So, but Chester's going to be right there. Like
you sure you didn't have anything to do with the rankings?
No.
Okay.
Congrats to Ellenville, first win of the season. And let's not forget,
there's a barn burner, 0-0 going into the
Sullivan
fourth.
West 6-0 beats Highland 6-0. Sullivan West.
Good for Sully West. They got something special going on.
Okay. So listen, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back with two-way lineman / gentleman Brandon Rollins of Burke Catholic. He's going to talk to us a little bit about the big Marlboro game. Okay, we're back here with the Varsity 845 football podcast with our guest via phone, the man himself, two-way lineman, Burke Catholic, Brandon Rollins. Brandon, thanks for taking some time for us today.
No problem.
So, I guess you got a pretty big game this week, I guess, right?
Yes, definitely. We've been looking forward to the Marlboro game since the summer, and it's been that big red X on our schedule.
That's the thing, Brandon. A game like this is probably that one that, the first day of practice on, you look at it as a game that you can't wait to come. I mean, did it seem like it was going to take forever before this game actually arrived?
Well, you know what? While it is an important game, we've had other good opponents who we've had to focus on, but this one definitely means a lot. We hear everyone talking about how Marlboro has the best O-line, D-line in Section 9, and they're just the best team. And it's time that we show people that Burke Catholic football has really stepped up and that we're ready to take the throne.
Yeah, that's just it, Brandon. Burke Catholic, I mean, you guys have always, around here in Orange County, you're known, I think, well for being a quality football program for a number of years. But maybe outside, throughout the Hudson Valley, maybe Burke isn't known as much, Is that kind of, part of the chip on your guys' shoulders that, maybe you guys haven't, gotten quite the notoriety that you deserve, or maybe just that, what we want to prove to everybody that we can play with anyone.
Well, I mean, a lion doesn't lose sleep over the opinion of sheep, but at the same time, we're going out here to just play some hard-nosed football, and like you said, prove to everyone outside the Hudson Valley and outside of just Section 9, prove to the state of New York, we're going to be reckoned with, and that we're going to make a run at states this year, and nobody's standing in our way, especially Marlboro.
Hey, Brandon, I don't want to call you out or anything, but you had that lion and sheep line. You had that prepared.
No, I didn't. I just thought of it on the spot. I've heard it before, and I thought it sounded good.
It was perfectly appropriate, right, Brad?
I was, of course, just kidding. I don't need to get pushed around by you or anything. But hey, I'm going to ask you one question because you guys have made it clear that you want a shot at Marlboro. They've been maybe a little more reserved. Do you think you might have, you guys could have calmed down a little? Do you think you've been a little too vocal? You know, you look at like this week when the Eagles played the Giants, both teams were talking. Obviously, the Giants, you know, they didn't back it up. Are you? This is your style? You don't have a problem with really coming out and saying you want Marlboro? And I don't have anything, you know, against it. You know, good for you for being honest.
You know what? We don't look at it as talking trash. We're not saying that Marlboro is a bad team, but that they're not going to give us a great fight and all that stuff. We just look at it as that we're coming out hard and aggressive, and we're not backing down to anyone, no matter how many section championships you've won or if you made it a state championship or a semifinal. We're coming for you, and we want to be at the top. And right now, Marlboro is considered to be at the top. So to get there, you have to take down who's there right now.
What that was a quick thought of mine, Brandon. That I just thought, you know what, that you brought up a great point. Marlboro's tradition of sectional titles and all. You guys, you know, have your own tradition of doing well in sectionals as well. Do you see them as having a little more big game experience, especially this year? I mean, they've played, a couple biggies. It was a Cornwall and Wallkill. They played two really, really top-notch teams, whereas you guys haven't really played that type of team yet. Do you think that's something where you guys, is there any way to simulate that in practice, where you can, I don't know, do some type of inter-squad stuff to simulate a tough opponent? I mean, how do you compensate for not playing a really big schedule yet?
Well, we don't really focus on Marlboro's schedule, and at Burke, we treat every practice like it's a game. We go hard 100% of the time, and we have different guys stepping up every single day, from freshmen to seniors, willing to step up and give good quality reps, and that's all that matters, and we're working hard to prepare for this game. So, in all honesty, I don't really care who Marlboro has played or how they've done. We just know that they're considered to be at the top, and we're going to work hard every single day to get to the top.
Sounds like your guys' practices are pretty intense. I mean, tell me about those. Is it any different even from last season? I mean, what is it about your guys' practices that make them special?
In all honesty, the practices since my freshman year playing football at Brewster now have always been intense. Different drills, just a lot of flying around, different intensity. We like to get jacked up for practice and excited to just be out there and play football with our brothers. So it's not a grind for us. It's more of just out there flying around, expending energy, having fun for a common goal, which is a championship.
Sounds good, Brandon. Hey, I was going to ask you too, because we've discussed, we talked about it over the summer and everything. I know you're getting some college interest. So where are you with that? I know you've taken some visits and everything. Where are you right now with college?
Right now, I have a couple good schools in mind. Frankly, I love Marist College and stuff like that, and I've received some interest from Marist. So as stuff progresses with that, I'll keep you posted on my college search. And I've been to Army a couple times.
Nice.
Right now, I really love Marist.
Yeah, Marist is a wonderful campus. You can't go wrong with, obviously, either of those schools.
And Army could have used you on Saturday against Rice, for sure, Brad.
Oh, yeah.
Well, listen, what's your height and weight right now?
Right now, I'm 6'3", 270 pounds.
Okay. So for anyone listening, what do you bench?
My max is 300.
And what about a squat?
The most I've ever done, in all honesty, for squat, I've never really maxed out with our workouts. The way we do it is we go for high-intensity workouts just to build strength, and I haven't really maxed out in a very long time, so I'd definitely say it's fairly high, but I'd have to go for it.
Okay.
As long as you're past that 140 mark that Justin has done in the gym, Brandon, I think you'll be okay.
More like double that, at least. But anyway, so Brandon, as always, it's a pleasure speaking with you, and thanks for joining us, and we wish you and your team the best of luck on Friday night.
All right, thank you.
Thanks a lot, Brandon. Take care.
Okay, Justin Rodriguez here, back with Kevin Gleason, the Varsity 845 podcast. We're going to wrap up with some games coming up this weekend. So we're going to start with the Burke-Marlboro game. So Kev, Burke, we talked about it with Brandon. Burke has been they haven't been shy about talking about Marlboro, and good for Burke. Because I agree with Brandon. They are being respectful. I asked that to Coach Ward today at practice, Coach Rich Ward. He said, I don't worry about Burke. I worry more about ourselves. If Burke needs Marlboro to get themselves motivated, so be it. Tell Burke we'll show up 7 o'clock Friday night, and we will see how we play.
Oh, this is shaping up into a great game. I mean, you're talking about Marlboro team that is just so accustomed to winning these big games. And Burke is saying, listen, it's time to draw the line in the sand. It's time that we ready for a Marlboro team. And I think it's going to be a fantastic game. Like you're talking to Brandon about, the only question I have about Burke is the fact that they haven't faced the real big teams on their schedule that Marlboro has on a couple of occasions.
Yeah, that's the only thing. And you don't want to play that score game, but Burke had a tough game with Chester, and Chester's a great Class D team. So,
but Burke annihilated Red Hook.
Right.
Which Marlboro didn't do. So, I mean, it goes both ways.
Right, and you could make the argument that Przbaki, the running back at Burke, is probably going to be the best player on the field. Rollins, the best lineman. Another matchup to watch is Marlboro's lineman, Robert Papuli. They could go at it two ways, and he's ready for Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to put you on the spot, Kevin. Who are you going to pick?
I was thinking Marlboro for the last couple of weeks, I've thought this might be Marlboro's game to win. But, I don't know. I just think Burke they believe so hard that they're going to win this game. And, their running game and their ball control offense is so sturdy. I just think Burke's going to find a way, and just absolute dogfight. I think Burke's going to find a way to win by 1 or 2 points.
At Marlboro.
Yes, sir.
It's my game of the week, so I will reserve my prediction until Friday. Another big game, Minnesink hosting Warwick Friday at 7. Both teams are 2-0 in the division.
That's a great game, and I don't think it's going to mirror the Division II youth football matchup between Minnesink and Warwick this past weekend, which Minnesink won handily. But that's a whole other story. Looking at the varsity game on another level here, I think it's going to be a great game. Really, I love the way this Warwick team plays. Minnesink is they're just punching people in the mouth, for the last 2 or 3 weeks at least. They just put up a lot of points, not giving up many. I think Minnesink's going to win this game. I think it's going to be a real tough, hard-fought game. Sounds to me like Minnesink up front, their two lines are going have the capacity to wear down a team like Warwick. So I'm going to go with Minnesink.
I think Minnesink in a low scoring. I think it's going to be a very efficient game with the clock running.
I agree.
I still think Minnesink's line, offensive line is, I don't know pound for pound if it's the best line in Section 9. It's right up there. And Warwick, they've done well. Written off in Camp of Champions. Here they are, 6-0. So another big game this week. New Paltz hosting Goshen, Class A Division II. New Paltz wins, they're in the playoffs. Goshen has to beat New Paltz and then Saugerties next week. Goshen, again, they took a quarter off against Walk-Hill. They gave up 21 points in the third quarter. They lost 35-17. They played Port the week before. They took a quarter off, gave up 34 points. When Goshen plays, they're not half bad. I'm going to take New Paltz in this game. I think they have a little more depth. They have Tom Tegler calling the shots. I think it's going to be a close game. I'm going to take New Paltz clinching a playoff spot.
Yeah, I think New Paltz is going to win the game. Especially New Paltz coming off the Cornwall game. I think New Paltz is going to be really hyped up for this game and really hungry to get back in the winning track. So I think New Paltz is going to win this game.
And remember, Newburgh up at Kingston. Monroe hosts Pine Bush, so Kingston and Pine Bush will remain winless. Another game, Livingston Manor Roscoe. I believe if it doesn't clinch the second spot in Class D, which you become the sacrificial lamb with all due respect, Livingston Manor hosting Roscoe, they would play Chester.
Sure.
But the one thing I want to say about Manor, because we did say they got blown out by Chester, keep in mind, Manor didn't have a team last year. They come back, they have 3 wins. They're 3-3, and they were really down after that Chester loss. But you know what? Kevin Clifford, I know him from football, covering softball and some other sports. And I said it to him, and he doesn't need me to give him a pep talk. It wasn't a pep talk or any words of reassurance. But I'm going to give Manor credit. You don't have a team last year.
Right.
You have 3 wins. A lot of teams would be winless. So
no doubt. It's hard to build a football program without a ton of players, and any program like that can build it. The real small schools that can put something together. I have a lot of respect for.
Okay, I'm just going to wrap up with 2 things. Of course, we want to thank Brandon Rollins. Like I said, a great kid, someone I've gotten to know a little bit. Thank you for coming on, Brandon. And also, I mentioned it earlier. It's going to be touching. I'm going to try to get there. I wish I could get there and then go to my other game a little late, but Valley Central, Tyler Muse, getting that touchdown, a good kid, and like I said, I spoke to the kid, and what really touched me was how much he meant to all the other kids.
Yeah, no, that's special on so many different levels. It's special for Tyler and his family. It's special for the coaching staff, and it's special for the kids that have touched his heart and the kids that have had their hearts touched by Tyler. It's going to be a great night. Just a disclaimer, I made the silly reference to Minnesink Warwick youth football. My son happens to play for Minnesink, and they beat Warwick, but it was all just a small, stupid little joke. So that's what that reference came from. But
no problem, Kev. You're fired.
But it's going to be a great weekend of football. There's no doubt about it. With a couple really big games, and we're getting real close to sectional time. So you can feel the crisp in the air, and Carrier Dome not far away.
Are you going to tell me about lions and lambs or something?
I'm not. No, I'm going to leave all the good quotes to Brandon tonight. And
he was a good quote.
He's a great quote, and it sounds like a great kid too.
Well, Kevin, it's been my pleasure. Always a pleasure working next to a fine gentleman like yourself. This is Justin Rodriguez signing off for the Varsity 845 Football Podcast, and thanks for listening, and have a great weekend.